Frankly, YouTube, it is exasperating to see blatant lies presented as truth. It discredits the individual who makes the comments and is not a mistake, but slander and intellectual dishonesty. I suspect part of the reason for its placement was to function as a taunt and encourage communication with myself and K Kilo 34. No matter what the arrangement scheme is, let's look at a few comments listed by K Kilo 34. A little prep work needs to be handled before we advance, however. 1. He believes, and I quote, "I know you are too afraid to have your ideas challenged in front of an audience," end quote. So obviously he would like to entertain the notion of him and I engaged in some battle, some debate where we can, what, promote him? Yeah, that's what it's all about. I'm not going down this road, but I will address my concerns. 2. In his video, EuphoricImpact, vaguely hates disagreement. There were several comments made in his comment section. I will address these not because I care what he thinks. It is because I do not appreciate gross exaggeration and manipulative tactics. I addressed the first part of this comment in my video entitled Loaded Questions and Self-Destructive Behavior in the Black Community. No additional time need be allotted to it. The next comment is where we will start. Quote, "Fact is, he wants whites to be responsible for providing help to the black community, but he'll never admit that doesn't go both ways," end quote. There is no video or words ever placed on YouTube that directly or indirectly states this is my inclination. The latter part of that same video, Loaded Questions and Self-Destructive Behavior in the Black Community, had a statement within it that is pertinent to our discussion. So I will quote myself. Quote, "We have control to eradicate certain issues. We have control to express ourselves differently to each other and the world. Have you considered that your actions have become programmed behavior? Whether this programming comes from external or internal sources is not the issue here. What matters is that you identify these patterns and work against them," end quote. The pronoun we was directly referring to black people. This clearly shows that I actually have a different outlook than he wishes to project. How funny it is that this is in the same video that he had problems with. Oh, he must have employed cherry picking, or maybe even employed selective hearing. Yeah, that's it. So let's mentally burrow a little deeper. What is altruism? Well, it's brotherly kindness opposed to egoism or selfishness. The motivation of altruism is based on devoting oneself to the interest of others. I see people as not a tribe of ill-omened poor who lives by begging. I see people as potentially noble. One should not be pressed into altruistic action. This should be taken up by an individual because they find it in their best interest to do so. I do not see any group of people, and especially black people, as desperate and incapable. Always act in accordance with the hierarchy of your values and never sacrifice a greater value to a lesser one. This is something that is somewhat of a mantra to me, and I live by it and have yet to eliminate it for a greater understanding. Some would like to say that mankind has no right to exist for its own sake. Many religious organizations promote that assistance to others as one of the chief justifications of mankind's existence. It pushes that self-sacrifice is a moral value, virtue, and duty. I see this as the moral foundation of collectivism. Yeah, collectivism. I am not a collectivist. I am an individualist. I do not see man as a sacrificial primate. Mankind has the right to exist for his or her own sake, or to serve, but not out of obligation, but out of volition, out of the use of their consciousness for their own best interest. This is what I believe. Holding this position prevents me from wanting whites to be responsible for providing help to the black community. And when I say whites, I'm talking about all white people, okay? In the world I would like to live in, people help each other that sincerely need help. People would allow those who have proven to work against themselves, they would allow them to suffer the consequences of their actions. When I am speaking about these people, I am speaking of these individuals who have chosen this path. If they prove that they are wanting to become self-sufficient, that they are becoming responsible people, that they are behaving rationally, then it would be in my best interest to assist them because I find it to be of personal value. Okay, we're all clear on that? Then Kilo 34 states, quote, "But he'll never admit that doesn't go both ways," end quote. That is a convenient deception. He is correct. I would not admit it. Yeah, because this was never my position. This is what K Kilo 34 saddled me as having. If he has proof that I am being disingenuous, he should present it. However, he does not. One of the many games people play. This is nothing but a diversion intended on distracting the attention from the main issue. He did not go through a process to root out my thoughts because I was evasive. What a bold-faced lie. This is a cover story, or maybe he convinced himself of that. I don't know. Maybe he really thinks this, but it's not true. This is a cover story, needed to provide a platform for his operation. The question was presented directly, and he said, in your opinion, who is more responsible for the problems in the black community, blacks or whites? And I still hold that that is a loaded question. If you would like, or if you are so inclined, you would have to file back a few pages, but if you go to my channel page and look under channel comments, you will eventually run into correspondences that I took directly from his channel without alteration and put them on my channel comments list one after the other. Why? Because I personally do not trust him. And I have good reason not to trust him because the observations that I have made over the course of the time that I have directly or indirectly interacted with him has proven that he is untrustworthy. But this is my opinion. Unlike him, I am not going to slander him. I am just stating that this is my opinion. He goes on to say, quote, "So, for example, he'll claim that we all affect one another. So there should be some give and take. It sounds good, but when you narrow the question down, you find what he means. So, whites are responsible for blacks' poverty on the rationale we somehow caused it." Bullshit, Kilo. Bullshit. Let's stop here and examine his invention. His scheme is to defame me by stressing indirectly that I subscribe to some entitlement because I am black. White people are not accountable for blacks' poverty. Last I checked, no entire group of people is reason for any ills on this earth. It is always selected people within any group. American history has proven that any man, despite ethnicity, has the ability to screw over his fellow man. If there are white people who are guilty, then they have earned that distinction. This is assuming there is verifiable evidence, or at least rational thinking that cannot be denied. And I say this because I know sometimes wrongdoings do not leave a trail. Sometimes there is no evidence. So, Kilo 34, K Kilo 34, has produced nothing but emphatically made declarations as if no supporting evidence was necessary. How classy of you. Even if a selected group of white people caused the poverty level, it would not be the responsibility of the entire group to make a wrong right. Not the entire group. We should use the law to provide an example of how a man can be listed as guilty if they do not directly commit the crime. Let's do that, okay? Yeah, sounds great. First, it depends on the role you play. Let's look at two other positions one can take that can lead you directly to jail. Do not leave jail, do not go past go. If you assist in a crime, you are an accomplice. This is one who intentionally helps another to commit a crime. If a person selects that position, and it is proven no matter what the racial identity of the individual is, then they are guilty under the rule of law. Guilty, guilty, guilty. In the eyes of the law, the accomplice pre-crime assistance makes this person just as guilty as the individual who does the deed. Then we have those people who are accessories after the fact. An accessory after the fact is a person who, knowing that an outlaw has completed committing a crime, usually the crime has to be a felony, helps the outlaw avoid arrest or trial. Their punishment is not the same as the one who committed the actual crime, because it is a lesser offense. It is less severe, but they are still guilty. So, using the law and two distinct examples. If one is not the principal participant, nor the accomplice, nor the accessory after the fact, then no rationale can be constructed to support holding a random white person as guilty. Huh? Yeah, really. Remember, we are addressing the example K Kilo 34 presented. So staying on point and addressing his comment in a non-evasive way. Not every white person functions in a principal, accomplice, or an accessory after the fact mode. Therefore, I would be unwilling to mislabel those who do not use racism or the institution of white supremacy as guilty. Why should I label them that? Again, I would not be willing to mislabel those who do not use racism or the institution of white supremacy for black poverty. If anyone is responsible, it requires proof and not hearsay. Kilo 34 goes on to say, quote, "But if I were to take black crime and its cost to society and ask if blacks are responsible for providing compensation to whites who suffer this problem, he wouldn't support it." Bravo, Kilo, bravo. Another blatant lie. One, he never asked me this question, nor did we ever have a conversation that incorporated this subject matter. So how does he know? He doesn't exactly. He made a false truth claim. Therefore, he willfully perverted the truth. This is unacceptable and greatly diminishes his credibility. If a black man commits a crime and the cost to society was presented, then it would not be for blacks or whites or anyone else that is a designated racial group to be responsible for providing compensation. First, our society doesn't work like that. So even constructing that sort of scenario is foolish. All American citizens that pay taxes pay for the inconvenience of crime. This is an economic burden. And this would be true for a criminal of any ethnicity. Unfortunately, we suffer twice, not only by the crime and the consequences that is generated by the actions of the criminal, but also in regards to the cost that we are saddled with. Normally, that comes out of our taxes if we're talking about a public institution. And I'm sure we get screwed over in other ways if it's a private institution, but I haven't done any research in regards to that, so I do not know for certain. My position is that no ethnic or racial group should be saddled with the cost of a black, white, Asian, Native American criminal. This includes any group I did not list. Got that? Oh, good. Many feel we are not permitted to contemplate the truth about race and crime. I do not think this. I do not know, however, how it can be of any use. We should be focused on the crime and the individuals who actually committed the crime, not the color of their skin. The reason many racial realists want to show federal statistics that blacks commit more hate crime than whites is to garner support for their cause. Duh! To point the finger like a child and say, "It's not only us! It's not only us!" In other words, they ride themselves to their imaginary sunset in order to rid themselves of white guilt. People like K Kilo 34 stiff-necked refusal to address the facts, but to show juvenile displays an indicator of stupidity. Oh, that's just my opinion. That he does not have the integrity needed to be trusted in his reasoning. That's also my opinion. Even if his argument is correct, I would caution others to ask, what is his agenda? I will not allow this to escalate. Something else is at work here, and it obviously is not truth from K Kilo 34. I do not want racial privilege. I am against it. It is a form of collectivism. I despise collectivism. I want fair and just treatment for any member of the human family. Actually, I think K Kilo 34 main objective is to demonize the majority of blacks. Now, this is my opinion. I have been very consistent with you, my audience, regarding my stand. It is clear to me, and it is solely my opinion, that if a black person comes along and he cannot mislabel them, then he'll probably say something like, "Oh, that's good for you." But the majority of blacks, yada, 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 just fill in the blank there with whatever bullshit you want to. His black and white thinking, his mental filtration, his generalizations, and aligned belief systems paint the majority as suffering from self-defeating behavior. The majority of blacks, that is. Indeed, self-defeating behavior does exist within the black supposed community. I have witnessed it. I have stated that I have witnessed it before, but it is not the sole reason for the multiple dynamics witnessed today. Not every black person who addresses this concern, by the way, from this perspective, is attempting to ladle the blame and responsibility on whites. Any white person who subscribes to this ideology needs to get over themselves. Really, you just need to get over that, because that's lame. What they are covertly stating by holding this position is that blacks inherently are dishonest and prejudicial towards whites. In this economic world that we're in, everybody seems to be the enemy. And for those people who are supposedly, not all of them, but a great majority of them that I have witnessed on YouTube, who are supposedly fighting the ills of black racism, which doesn't exist because racism is racism, no matter who commits the racism, whether it's black, white, whatever. So, no matter who commits this racism, I have found it very interesting that certain applications are allowed and just overlooked because they're fighting the good fight. Bullshit. How you go about something is just as important as what you do. Let me go back and say this again. Any white person who subscribes to this ideology needs to get over themselves. What they are covertly stating I believe I remember the point that I wanted to make, is that blacks inherently are dishonest. Basically, they're saying that all black people subscribe to groupthink. For those particular white people who hold this position, if I was to conversely say to you that all white people are a certain way, you would rightfully be angry because I would foolishly be mislabeling you and I would be submitting to groupthink. But enough is enough. I'm done with K Kilo 34 and the likes of his sort on YouTube. The future lies that will imminently pour from his channel in regards to me will be ignored. If you want to accept his deceit, then feel free. You still live in a supposedly free country if you're in America, and he has the right to voice his opinion in the manner that he wants to. And I will support his right to voice his opinion, even if his opinion is used as a weapon against me, because the value of free expression is more important to me than his lies. If you, the audience, want to challenge my positions, ask a question, or engage me in conversation, no matter what your position is, my door is always open to you. All I require is respectful interaction on both ends. I will definitely be respectful towards you if you are respectful towards me. If you are not respectful towards me, I will either terminate the conversation or I will mirror back to you exactly what you put out. What you wish to believe about me is your business. I wanted to show, using this example, the duplicity of the likes of K Kilo 34. So do expect a return punch from K Kilo 34, as he is not the type of individual who can retreat when he is incorrect. No, he's the type of individual that will push on because he cannot have another individual outshining him. Let's just end this here. And let's just say that unfortunately that this had to come to this. I'd rather spend my time on YouTube addressing issues or learning about people or learning new things or exploring avenues that I have never explored before. I really don't want to waste my time in this type of video making. That's the end of it for me. But always understand that practical politics is a dirty job. And I think this is a type of practical politics. Because you can do anything that you want with practical politics, because practical politics do not necessarily need you to obey the law. It just needs you to work under the law, if you understand what I mean. And that also means that even though there is no law on YouTube, there is a social construct of decency. But if you work under that social construct of decency, it's all right because you're not busted. But guess what? You are. Thanks for listening.